What is good, JayMike Talk, and today we're taking a closer look at the brand new adidas Nemeziz 17 Plus 360 Agility, which is, apart from having a long name, a pretty kick-ass boot that brings a whole new construction way of thinking to the football boot world. We're talking elasticated tape. Now, the Nemeziz here is made and designed to help players become more agile, to unlock agility, if you will. But also, we're taking a look at how it's possible to make a laceless boot out of elasticated tape that actually works. And if you stick around until the end, I'm gonna give away a pair of these. The Nemeziz 17 Plus here has kind of taken over where the Messi line of boots left off. And when I say kinda, it's because the Nemeziz is a brand new silo with a unique backstory of its own. But with that said, it's still centered around agility. And the Nemeziz 17 Plus has been made for the player that kind of breaks open defenses out of nowhere, tiptoeing around his opponents, being nimble-footed like a boxer, elegant like a ballet dancer, and with sharp reflexes, just like a martial artist. And I think that we've probably all played against this type of player, you know, the one that we face occasionally who then has a really good game against our team, our Nemeziz. And admittedly, I think it is a pretty cool backstory to have. I mean, just think about how Jerome Boateng probably won't ever forget who Lionel Messi is. But cool backstory and all, what's actually under the hood of the Nemeziz? The upper is where the real fun begins, because I wasn't actually kidding when I said that it is made mostly out of this here elasticated tape. And it was designed looking at how agile athletes such as boxers and dancers use medical tape to wrap their ankles and their feet to give them the stability and support they need for their agile, sharp and precise movements. So what Adidas did was that they took a good few meters of this here elasticated tape. They wrapped it up and then they stitched it together, as you can see, to cover a good chunk of the midfoot and the heel area. And you can actually even see how the individual bands, run across the foot and even, cross each other on the top of the boot. And because you get the stretchy abilities and the compressed qualities of the tape, it will actually stretch to match the shape of your foot, but also keep it firmly locked in place because it just wraps up the entire foot. And it is a funny feeling because you can put on the Nemeziz just like that, only to get a compressed and tight sensation the second after. Now, because the Torsiontape, as the technology is actually called, will stretch so you can get the boot on and then compress when you want to lock it down, you don't really need laces to provide the lockdown, or the compression fit tongue that we know from the Pure Control for that matter. It is all handled by the elasticated torsion tape that will actually go in and act directly, where is it? All that tape. It will act directly as a seatbelt for your foot, locking it down. A bit like we know from the energy sling from the Nitro Charge a few years back. Only it seems to me that on the Nemeziz with the torsion tape, it is a more dynamic and well executed and frankly better way of doing things than we saw on the Nitro Charge. Now also, to make sure that nothing moves and everything stays in place, Adidas have equipped the Nemeziz with these little sticky silicone dots on the top of the boot. And they've also spent a considerable amount of time looking at the height of the collar. Because while they wanted to give you that sock-like distractionless sensation, they also wanted to keep your ankle bone free so you feel there's nothing in the way and nothing is holding you back when you want to move. Just the way I like it, by the way. It's not all tape, however, because on the heel, and especially on the toe box, Adidas updated their agility knit to 2.0 from the Messi line, and it's supposed to give you a slightly textured, very grippy touch on the ball. But more importantly, on the inside of the boot, Adidas put this lovely, soft, airy foam that feels a bit like memory foam. And apart from actually doing wonders for the fit, because it feels really personal as it molds around your foot, it also is supposed to help your touch a little bit, because while the Nemeziz is supposed to give you this very barefoot-like sharp touch on the ball, the foam goes in to add a bit of a dampened elegance to the touch as well. The Soleplate also plays a pretty central role to this whole agility responsiveness thing, because Adidas made it with 2 torsion bars under the midfoot and made the plate itself really stiff, so it reacts to your every little movement and becomes extremely responsive. Also, looking at the studs, Adidas really wanted the acceleration and deceleration benefits from bladed studs coupled with the awesome maneuverability of conical studs. So what did they do? They combined the 2 stud shapes and made semi-conical studs, or half-moon shaped studs, if you will. And because they placed them so that the bladed shape is on the inside and the rounded shape is on the outside, you're supposed to get the best from both worlds. I have tried the Nemeziz plate and can say that it is really responsive and you feel extremely much on your toes, but on the other hand, it is also extremely stiff. But if you like your responsive sensation, you better start looking at the Nemeziz. But it's not all about Big Brother 17 Plus, because there's also the Nemeziz 17.1. It's got the OG laces for people who prefer that, like Messi, for instance. He's gonna wear this bad boy. And actually, the construction is more or less the same compared to the high-end 17 Plus. But there are a few differences. One is obviously the laces, but the other one is this area around the tongue. Now, as you can see, the tape goes all the way up until here, where the area becomes white, and then it continues as a mesh-based material all the way around to here, when the tape begins again. And that's simply because you don't need the compression from the torsion tape, because you got the laces to provide the lockdown. On the 17 Plus, you don't have laces, so you need the tape. But on the 17.1, you do have laces, so you don't need the tape. Makes sense, yeah? Also, because of this mesh-based material and the construction they needed around that, Adidas still wanted the elasticated torsion tape on top of that to really translate into the foot, which means that the 17.1 is a wee bit higher than the 17 Plus in the sock construction. But apart from that, the laces, the mesh-based area on the top of the boot, and the height, it is more or less the same, which I think is a pretty cool move. So I don't know if you got it yet, but Nemeziz 17 Plus 360 Agility is, to me at least, a pretty big deal. It's made out of flipping tape. It has a very snug, tight fit, and you get that tip-tone sensation when you wear it. So for me, it's pretty promising. I should probably also mention though that it might not be for everyone, being so very tight. But if you love that sharp touch on the ball, the lockdown and the responsiveness, I think you'll enjoy playing in this as much as the Vapor 11, which is for me the best boot on the market. So there you go. My only concern would be, what happens if the tape loses its elasticity? I mean, but I guess that has to be a worry for another day. Because if you are as impressed as I am with the Nemeziz 17 Plus, you can actually win a pair. Just give me a good solid first impression in the comment section below, and this bad boy might be yours. Also, don't forget to subscribe by hitting the green bubble right up there. Leave me a like or two, and spread the word by sharing the video with your friends. And with that said, I'm signing off. Cheerio.